script. I don't have a script to go off of, so. Hello and welcome to a Monday edition of the Daily Fantasy Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Roberts, and today I'm joined by Daniel Green and Tyler Watts. We'll be discussing. Oh, what are we discussing today?
We are discussing
Week 18,
schedule.
right?
What's that?
I couldn't find which week is it.
Week 18.
Oh, okay.
The Week 18 schedule, along with interesting news and tidbits.
All right, here we go.
We're only talking basketball.
Do you want me to give you a 5-second pause here?
Well, I'm gonna have Tyler post this one.
Okay.
Wait, why do I have to do it? Now that he messed up, I have to do it? You were going to do it until he messed up?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Tyler.
That's all right.
Hello and welcome to another. What did I say last time?
Tyler, Mark is getting worse and worse at these reads. like sometimes we'll do 38 takes of just this opening.
That's not true.
It's amazing.
Because he didn't write it down. He's got to write it down. Then
I also don't understand. Mark, I don't one of the first times we did the show, you were like, "Hello, friends," and then you never did it again.
Because he hates them now. I keep telling you, he's hating them now. They used to be his friends. Now he can't stand them.
Does anybody listen to this anymore?
Wow, this is going to be a bad show.
This is going to be a bad show.
Mark has no energy. Tyler's too busy just banging multiple women at once.
Bring the show. That's impressive.
Yeah. I'm just stuck. I'm torn because I love this girl and I can't be with her.
Oscars, how much of your brain percentage is paying attention to this show right now?
Oh, I'm not watching the Oscars at all. I could care. The only one I wanted to watch was to see if Sylvester Stallone won. The others I don't really care about the speeches. I wanted to hear his speech.
He didn't even win.
Well, I know.
Really?
So did you listen to the old man speech?
No.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Daily Fantasy Basketball Podcast. In today's show, we'll be discussing the Week 18 schedule, helping you set your lineup, and discussing news and notes from the weekend. But first, a word from our sponsors, No Halftime. No Halftime is an iTunes app that works sort of like Tinder for fantasy sports. You can swipe left or right to select the one-on-one fantasy matchup that you like. Use the promo code BBALL, that's BBALL, for a free $10 at sign up. Go check out No Halftime, where the fantasy sports season never takes a break. And with that, we are off. I'm your host, Mark Roberts. Today I'm joined by Daniel Green, as usual, and today we have a special guest, Tyler Watts. Tyler, welcome to the show.
What's up, man? How's it going? I'm sad that another weekend is coming to an end, but another glorious week of basketball ahead of us, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyler, you doing okay over there?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk some basketball.
Yeah, no
Tyler,
problem.
are you okay? We haven't heard from you in how long has it been, Mark? Months? Weeks?
I think I might hear from Tyler more often than you do.
No, I mean on the show though.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I've been good. Just doing my thing.
Tyler does a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff for us. For example, he keeps and I've actually had a lot of questions about our rankings lately, where to find them and how often they're updated. And just as a reminder and a plug for the rankings, they are updated. They update automatically every day, so you should get new, fresh rankings every day. Tyler reviews them, and Tyler reviews all the injuries and makes sure that they are all up to date. So, anything else you want to add there, Tyler? They should be ready to go for everybody to use each and every day.
Yeah, they should be ready. I even check the minutes, and I'm always making adjustments to that. So they should be pretty good every single day. They should be pretty fresh.
And they're rankings for the rest of the season, so they take into account schedule and all that good stuff. So if you haven't had a chance to go check those out, go to the dailyfantasybasketballpodcast.com, and there's a section where you can click on rankings, and you can go to head-to-head rankings or 8-cat rotisserie rankings or 9-cat rotisserie rankings. Whatever your pleasure is, go check them out. And it'll help you get ready for the all-important finish this season, which is what we are going to be focusing on in today's show. Week 18 is for some folks, some leagues is a playoff week, but for a lot of people, this is the week before the playoffs. Is that, at least that's how it is in my leagues. Is that what you guys are seeing as well?
Yep. And so I'm in one of my leagues. I'm already in the playoffs, which is crazy. It's just a weird.
Are you out of the playoffs already, or are you still in?
No, I'm still in.
Nice job.
Thank you. And then in my other, I'm in 5 other leagues, and all of those, you're right. This is the final week of the regular season, and the playoffs start next week.
So this is it. This is do or die. You gotta.
This is what dreams are made of, Mark. This is why we play, to get to this point.
To dance. Yeah. Are you guys? Any of you guys have a make or break week this week in any of your leagues?
No, it's mostly just seeding. So I'm in the playoffs, fortunately, in all my leagues. So,
Nice.
but it's just a matter of seeding, which I don't really care too much about, quite honestly.
No, I can't. I can't disagree with you there, Tyler. What about you?
Same here. I'm just looking to finish strong here, I guess. Not. I'm in the playoffs, I think, in every league. So.
Wow, look at you guys go.
Let's be honest.
Oh,
Like, if you guys, if Tyler, if you weren't in the playoffs, wouldn't you just lie and say you were, though?
I mean, I guess I could, but I don't have to lie.
That is true. I think I'd lie, Mark. So you can't even trust me.
Okay. Well, I'll just assume that you're not. I'm out. I'm actually. This is a critical week for me in one of my leagues. I am a 1 game out of the playoffs. For one of my leagues, I'm looking good in the rest of them. But there's one league I've been making a furious comeback from near the bottom of the standings. I'm in 7th place. It's a 14-team league. I've got one more team to overtake, and I've got 1 week to do it. So. I would assume a lot of our listeners are in a very similar situation, and that's what makes this week so critical, and that's why we want to focus today on looking at the schedule, looking forward to how we can help listeners make decisions that will get them into the playoffs. Because once you're in the playoffs, I mean, I think this is the point you were getting at, Dan, is seeding doesn't really matter unless you've got a bye. It doesn't. I mean, if you come in as the last seed or 2nd, 3rd seed, I've never really thought that makes too much difference once you get to the playoffs.
Yeah, I've never cared about that, but sadly it took me a good 4 to 5 years to realize scheduling once the playoffs hits is everything. Like if your main guys have 3 games versus your opponents have their stars have 4, like I mean that can basically end your week right there, end your season right there. It's like scheduling plays such a vital role when it comes down to the playoffs, and that's why really, like, I mean, Sunday and Monday you have to get your strategy down pat and kind of figure things out and be ahead of the game, because it's, I mean, like, I've lost my first 4 or 5 years. I mean, I think I would lose every year because of scheduling, and it would drive me nuts. So
all right, so with that, let's get into it. And I mentioned already the rest of season rankings that we have on the website. Those are there. They're updated every single day. We also run a feature on the weekends that Tyler puts together for us, featuring the week ranking. So if we just take a look at how the players, the current injuries that are going on, the schedule for week 18, the minutes that we've been seeing recently, we take those all into account. Who are the best players? Who are the players you should be trying to pick up this week to help you out? So we have those posted on the website. You can go check out. Amazingly, Steph Curry, even with 3 games. Dan, do you want to guess how high he is in the rankings? Because usually the rankings is just a feature, like to your point, it's just the top of the rankings are players, good players with 4 games.
all with 4 games. I mean,
Steph Curry has 3 games. Do you want to guess how high he is?
dude, he's been so ridiculously insane. I would still say he's top 10.
Yep. High. I mean, go higher.
Top 5?
Yeah, he's 4th.
Yeah, I mean that's just criminal.
Our rankings have him coming out ahead of Boogie Cousins and John Wall, who both have 4 games. Basically are close to top 5 players this week. Steph Curry still projects to be more valuable with just 3 games. Only Harden Durant and Westbrook rank ahead of him.
I mean, last night watching. So I think everyone's going to be listening to the show. Most people on Monday, but on Saturday night, if you guys were watching the OKC Golden State game, that might have been one of the funnest nights to be on Twitter, as Curry and Golden State was coming back, and then Curry hit the game winner. Twitter just exploded, and it was kind of. I mean, it's fascinating to watch everyone's reaction because everyone is just as shocked and doesn't. No one really knows. No one can properly explain what the hell we're watching. It's just it's comical, what he's doing. Who the hell pulls up from 35, 40 feet
Well, I know I fell off my couch laughing, just giggling.
Yeah. I mean, it's insane, man. I never envisioned a guy would be able to do that. Just pull up from 35 feet like it's a normal, just regular free throw.
You remember playing sports video games with your friends? If one of your buddies would have done that in the middle of at the end of one of your games and won the game that way, you would have gone berserk. You would have been
but even playing
storming off
video games, that would almost never happen.
That's what I'm saying. If that happened in a video game, you'd be like, "That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen," and I can't believe they let that shot go in, and you'd just be furious. So I can't imagine what it's like for Oklahoma City to watch that.
Well, I mean, it's been interesting. The last 3 Golden State games, when they beat Miami, Miami should have won. Miami had that game almost locked up. They were winning the whole game, and then Steph hit just crazy shots. And then Orlando, Steph went nuts again, had 10 threes. And then yesterday, OKC had that game, gave it away with a horrible turnover late. And then Iguodala hit those 2 free throws to force overtime. And then
that was maybe the more impressive shooting of anything.
Iguodala's 2 free throws.
I was really surprised that he made those.
He's done that in the past. He's done that a couple times where he's like a 60% career foul shooter. But there's been a couple times where he steps up and makes critical free throws late in the game. But it's just I don't know what to do because I'm rooting so hard against Golden State and it's driving me just nuts because Curry is he's a video game right now. So
everyone knows he's good, but let me just read you his stats from this past week. So this is what you've got from Curry if he was on your team this week. So 36 minutes a game. He played 4 games. He got 44 points per game, 8 3-pointers, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 1.5 steals, almost a block per game, shot 60% from the field and 90% from the line. Nobody's ever done anything like this.
No. And I don't have him in a single league. Anyway.
It's going to be tough. Honestly, don't you think it's going to be hard for you to win any of your leagues without Curry?
Well, the team
that has Curry has just done so poorly that they're not going to make the playoffs.
Well, that's the thing, though. If you this week, they have even Golden State's playing 3 weeks, and those rankings are based on what he's been doing. He's going to have an off week, and the thing is, while they're going for the 72 wins, I think that benefits, in terms of him getting more playing time. I think if they had seating locked up, then Kerr would give him a couple fewer minutes a night. But yeah, as long as the games are close right now, he's getting lots of minutes, and it's just it's a nightmare. But I still, if Golden State has a 3-game week, I still think that he's due to have one off night, and then you're fine.
Yeah. Tyler, anything you want to add about Curry's run this past week?
Just he's amazing. I wouldn't be betting against him next week.
No, me neither. All right, let's jump into the schedule then. We've teased it enough. Tyler, what are some things that you saw on the schedule that you think would help our listeners to know about?
Well,
look at the schedule and the rankings, I guess.
Well, it's another really balanced week, kind of like last week. No teams played 2 games, so that's kind of nice for everyone. The only Thursday has 4 games. Every other day there's at least 6 games, and most days there's 7 or more. So it's kind of like a really balanced schedule too. Wednesday and Friday, the 2 big days. There's 11 games on Wednesday, 10 on Friday, and so that's kind of where the schedule sits. And then first thing, I guess, is Monday, Tuesday, back-to-back with the Brooklyn Nets play. So if you're looking for in a daily moves league, you can pick up someone from the Nets. I had down Bojan Bogdanovic, Donald Sloan, or if it's a really deep league, maybe Wayne Ellington, and get 2 games for the price of 1.
What do you think of any of those 3 guys interesting to you, Dan?
I mean, all 3 of them make me cringe because you don't know what you're going to get out of any of those guys. I mean, Bogdanovic, he's very streaky, but he's starting and he's getting minutes now with that Joe Johnson's not on the team. So if out of the 3 guys, if you need 3-pointers and scoring, I'd go for him. If I want assists, then I'd go for Donald Sloan. Donald Sloan's he's played pretty well in the first 2 games, and I think you mocked me last week, but I told you without Joe Johnson, his usage rate goes up pretty significantly. So I think Donald Sloan's actually not a bad play. I just don't love his game. He's not very talented, so it's hard to get too. He's got a limited ceiling. It's hard to get too excited, but he's got some potential. And who was the 3rd guy we said?
Wayne Ellington.
No, I can't do it. I cannot pull the trigger.
He played well on Saturday night.
No, he did. And again, if you need 3-pointers, maybe you want to take a flyer on Ellington, but I'm probably going to stay away from him.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, why Tyler was pointing out how many games are on which night, as you look at Wednesday and Friday having double-digit games, those nights you're probably not going to want to stream anybody. You're not going to try to pick up anybody, just because you can pick up somebody and they're not going to break into your starting lineup because you probably got 10 or 11 other guys that are better than them that you don't need to play. So Monday, Tuesday, that back-to-back is a good one to look for if you've got a pickups limit, and then Saturday, Sunday is another one you may want to consider picking somebody up if they're playing on a back-to-back that
the problem with Saturday and Sunday, only Houston and Detroit play on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, so Tyler, is there anybody in those 2 teams that you saw that you felt like would be worthy pickups?
Well, the first guy I saw would be a worthy pickup is Patrick Beverley. Now, normally Patrick Beverley isn't that great, but in the last 11 games he's been putting up some pretty good stats. He's been averaging 1.5 3-pointers, 3.8 rebounds, 3.2 assists, a steal and a half a block, and 10.5 points on 45% from the field. So, that's a pretty decent line for a streaming guy in a 12-team league. You can pick him up, get 2 games out of him. The only other guy I had down was Corey Brewer. That would kind of have to be a pretty deep league, but, he might be able to get you some points and threes, maybe a couple steals.
Yeah, I don't disagree with either of those. Beverly is probably more interesting to me than Brewer, but, I think you mentioned that. What about you, Dan?
Yeah, Brewer, really, like Tyler said, really only deep leagues only. Beverly, it's nothing sexy. It's basically, look, if you're walking down the street and you see a very average-looking woman, but if you get her back-to-back nights, hey, it's maybe that's something you want to consider. So I don't mind Beverly for that back-to-back option Saturday, Sunday. Also, I'll mention, even though I'm not a big favorite, Clint Capella, if he gets healthy, he's going to get some minutes. He could definitely help you win blocks. Even if he's not starting, if he's going to come off the bench and give you even 18 to 20 minutes a night. If you really need blocks, that will be a decent time to stream him.
That's the nice thing to know about these Saturday, Sunday back-to-backs is you can really start to target specific categories. Like if you need steals, Beverly's going to be a great option because the last 2 weeks he's been getting nearly 2 steals per game. So you feel pretty good that you're going to get 3 or 4 steals there, and that might put you over the top. And like you're saying, Capella, normally you probably wouldn't want to pick him up. But if you need blocks, there aren't a lot of better options out there. So Monday and Tuesday, I think you're going to go generally just for more value. Saturday and Sunday, you're going to want to look specifically at the categories that you need help in and target a guy who is good at those specific categories.
Yeah, another interesting thing about the schedule this week, looking at the teams, this is not only in DFS, it's just, I guess it would be, mostly I use it in DFS, but it applies to season long, obviously, as well. And that's anyone playing Philly, the whole team goes off. The whole starting five that's up against Philly that night, basically they all have monster nights. Miami plays Philly twice this week, and Miami has a full 4-game week as well. And I think they play Chicago and Phoenix, the other 2 teams. So the Miami guys are very intriguing right now. We can talk about them later in the show, what they're doing with Joe Johnson and all that. But there's a lot of guys right now in that squad, especially because they're upping their pace. So there's some guys that's a team that I'm going to try to get a lot of exposure to this week in season long and DFS.
Very good. All right, I want to talk next about some guys that you might want to consider picking up for the entire week. So we've mostly focused in on certain days of the week you want to pick somebody up. But let's talk about guys we can pick up over the course of the entire week that can be helpful. But first, I want to talk to you guys about buying sporting event or concert tickets online. Tyler, I know Daniel's into going to different music concerts. Do you have a preference? Do you like going to sporting events or concerts better?
I'm definitely a sporting events guy. Not too many concerts around where I live, so not too many good acts are coming.
I see. You live pretty close to to Philly though, right? You can go to a Sixers games once in a while.
Uh, I mean like 3.5 hours, so it's not that bad. It's actually like just as far to New York City.
Oh, okay. So you can catch the Knicks. That's a better that's the you got a couple as far as like concerts or Broadway shows even you could go on there and find some shows there, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
All right. Well, Daniel and I have a suggestion for you to make it as uncomplicated and as fee-free as possible. That's that's if you go to SeatGeek, download the SeatGeek app, you can go and buy or sell sports tickets or concert tickets. Um, Daniel, I know you've got some tickets bought. You're going pretty soon, right?
Dude, I stopped listening to you because you mentioned the word uncomplicated, and then I was thinking, doesn't Natalie Imbruglia sing that famous song? But I don't think it was called uncomplicated.
I don't know. I don't know who
Oh,
she
I
is.
think it was called Torn. That was totally different.
That's right.
But that's another concert I would love to see. But so what were we saying?
We were talking about
SeatGeek.
the
Go ahead.
SeatGeek tickets that you bought.
Oh, dude, I bought tons of tickets already. I bought tickets for tonight's game, the Miami versus the Knicks. I didn't go to it, but I gave my tickets to a friend. Um, and then I bought Enrique Iglesias tickets. I'm all over this. And for that one, I used the promo code Mark, and I got my $20 rebate.
Very
It was a,
nice.
and the Enrique tickets were pretty cheap, so I'm basically going to a concert for free.
That's surprising. I would have expected them to be higher.
No,
But I guess the good thing that happened for you is that when you were on the site, you knew which seats were the cheapest because you could pick the ones
well,
with
I
the
did,
best
and then
score next
I
to
did,
them.
and then also they have the email alerts. You get like email alerts whenever prices go down, and then I pounced, Mark. I was like a
Very good.
predator. But
Very, very good.
the only thing that I want SeatGeek to do, I want it to let me know like if I can sit next to like an attractive woman. That's the next thing that SeatGeek has to work on. Once they do that, then we'll be golden.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Email alert
so
for
would
that.
I, would you give you two scores, like one price score and then one neighbor score?
Yeah, exactly. A score for your neighbor. I like that.
That would be really, really cool. Because
That would be yeah.
no, I mean, I think I mentioned when I went to the Clippers game in Los Angeles, I sat by a couple of it wasn't attractive women, but that's probably fine because I'm married. But I sat next to some hardcore fans and we had a good time together. We were like high fiving and
Yeah, because I will say it does make a difference who you're sitting next to, and
absolutely.
that's almost in anything you do. Go on an airplane, you like a sporting event, concert, like it really plays a vital role.
Yeah.
You need
Well, we'll
quality.
we'll have to we'll have to suggest that to SeatGeek. But in the meantime, if any of the listeners want to get the same deal you got, Dan, which is a $20 rebate off their first SeatGeek purchase, they can go download the free SeatGeek app, um, enter promo code MARC, M-A-R-C. Tyler, you're welcome to do that as well. You get $20 after you've made your first ticket purchase. You get great seats. You don't have to search all over the internet. You know which deal's the best. So go check it out.
I will say this about SeatGeek. I love that they do that little price thing with the green arrow, like this is an awesome seat. Just
Yeah,
because on StubHub I get worried that like I'm gonna sit behind like some big pole or something anytime I go to a sporting event and I'm
right.
not gonna be able to see the field because they don't ever tell you.
Exactly.
Whereas SeatGeek's like, oh, this is a really good seat, and I'm like, all right, you guys know you're into this.
Absolutely agree. All right, Tyler, who are some of the players that you felt like would be good pickups for the entire week when you were looking at the rankings?
All right, so I made a list. These are the top 5 pickups I came up with this week. Number 5, we already touched on Patrick Beverly.
So these
Uh,
are basically guys that rank what, like inside of our top 100 for the week, who are available in the majority of ESPN leagues?
yeah, Patrick Beverly was ranked 85th, so he's the lowest person on this top 5. and he was owned in 20% of ESPN leagues.
Gotcha. So again, threes and steals are probably his best categories. If you want to get like, I don't know, he'd probably give you 6 3-pointers and 6 steals over the course of the week. Maybe a couple of blocks and 40 points or something like that.
And I feel like he could get you like a few assists. I mean, like he's not going to kill you. Like he averages 3, which is not great for a point guard, but I mean, that's also not that bad. You know what I mean?
He'd get you 10 or 15 assists, which can help for sure. All right, who else you got?
All right, number 4 on the list is Gary Harris. He plays 4 games this week. Obviously, he's ranked 79th in our weekly rankings. He's owned in only 21% of leagues. For his last 7 games, he's playing 36.1 minutes, so they're really running him out there a lot. He's averaging 1.3 threes, 3 rebounds, 2.3 assists, 2.1 steals, and 13.4 points on 46.4% from the field. Now, his free throw percentage has been terrible, so
Interesting.
That might be something to worry about. But
what's his free throw percentage been?
In the last 7 games, only 58%.
Yikes. So he's sort of in the similar mold as Beverly, which is he's good at 3-pointers, he's good at steals. He scores a bit more than Beverly and probably gets a few less assists. Dan, do you have a preference between those two guys who are very very similar statistically?
I mean, normally I would have said, well, I would say normally it would have been at least a debate for me. But because Gallinari is going to be out now with that ankle for maybe 3 to 4 weeks, that could open up some more shots for Gary Harris. So I think he's got a little bit more upside. I mean, Beverly, we've seen what he can do the last couple of years. He's very, very limited player.
Very low ceiling for sure.
Very low ceiling. He's not a part of that Houston offense. On the offensive end, he just sits in the corner and if Harden passes to him because he gets double teamed and he gets an open 3, that's the best you can hope for. Gary Harris, his usage rate is not that great, but with Gallo out, who dominate a lot of times, he's probably was Denver's best offensive player. I think it's going to be more shots for Gary Harris. It's he's already getting a ton of minutes as it is. So the free throw shooting is interesting though. The one I wonder is what's the volume like in his free throw, because he doesn't really attack the basket much. So I don't think he's getting you a lot of free throws per night, but still that would
about 2 per game.
Okay, so yeah. So I think I'd go Harris though over Beverly. He could be in for a big week. I mean, Denver is going to be an interesting team with Gallo out this week, opening up a lot of shots.
Let's talk about them for a second. Who else do you think could benefit from Gallo being out?
I mean, I think Will Barton could have a monster week. Will Barton is a guy who he's a usage monster anyway. Minutes have always been the big issue for him this season in terms of him reaching value in something like DFS or even in season long, really putting up fantasy relevant production. I think this week that's gonna happen with Gallo out. Look, Denver needs scorers. They don't have guys who can really score the ball. Moutier, dear God, he can't shoot a lick. Gary Harris is okay. Jokic, he's got some skills, but again, he's more of a big guy and he needs someone to feed him the ball. Fareed, not an offensive player at all, so they need scorers. So that means Will Barton, and another guy is DJ Augustine, who I think could have a good week.
So who do you think are must starts on Denver? I'm going to go down their roster in the order that I think is most valuable, and you tell me when to stop. You guys tell me when. You can both chime in here, but tell me when I get to players that you think I shouldn't lock in a standard league. Will Barton, yes. He's I think a must start. Nikola Jokic,
yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Kenneth Faried, I'm saying yes. Gary Harris, yes, I think so with the 4 games. And then our rankings have the next best player is Darrell Arthur.
Interesting.
Sort of surprise, probably.
I guess the rankings are thinking Darrell's going to be starting for Gallo, so his production is going to go up across the board.
Go up a little bit. And then there's just not a lot. I mean, Moutier's, like you mentioned, has been terrible. I don't think I would start him still. You mentioned Augustine, who's sort of interesting, but I think it's just those top 4 guys. I think it's Barton, Jokic, Fareed, Harris are the guys that you want to play on.
I agree for must starts, but all the other guys are going to be interesting if you want to stream or just to keep an eye on or to play in DFS on any given night.
Agreed. All right, let's get back to your list. Tyler, who else have you got for us?
All right, number 3 on the list, Marcus Smart. He's got 4 games again this week. He's ranked 76th in the rankings. The last 6 games, he's putting up some pretty good stats. 1.2 threes, 3.3 rebounds, 3.3 assists, 2.2 steals, and 11.7 points. And he's only owned in 39% of ESPN leagues.
Very good. Another guy who's sort of similar there as far as like excelling in threes and steals. Do you think he's the best option of those 3 guys?
I would
Oh, go ahead, Tyler.
I would normally say yes, but like Dan was saying with Gary Harris getting more shots, I mean, I think he might overtake him this week just because of the Gallinari injury.
Marcus Smart's interesting. Mark, he's basically this could be like a pretty legitimate. The more I think about it, I'm trying to think if this could happen. Like if Patrick Beverley took steroids, he may turn into Marcus Smart. I mean that.
So what are you seeing that's similar there?
Everything. I mean, they're well. First of all, just on the defensive end, this doesn't really impact fantasy. But they're both they're kind of really good on-ball defenders. They bring lots of energy. Don't do too much on the offensive end, but they do a lot. Fill up a stat sheet. I just think of Marcus Smart as a more aggressive, hungrier Patrick Beverley at this point. So I would actually go Marcus Smart over Patrick Beverley this week. And I still would have Gary Harris a little bit ahead of those 2 guys because of the Gallo news. But Marcus Smart is sneaky, man. A lot of people are just, because he's not starting, don't really think of him, but he's still getting enough minutes to be significant.
And if you're punting percentages, which are his worst categories, I think you definitely go Smart because he's terrible at field goal percentage and free throw percentage, really. But once you get past those,
he takes no free throws.
He's pretty solid. All right, the next guy on your list is definitely different than the first 3. Tyler, who you got for us?
Oh, this is your favorite guy, Mark. Ian Mahinmi averages 4 games this week. He's ranked 64th, owned in 32% of leagues. He's getting 30 minutes a game in his last 6 games, and obviously he gives you a little bit different stats than the other guys. So if you're looking for rebounds, blocks, he's actually really good in steals the last few games.
I'm a little mad at Jan, actually. We had a whole show, Dan, about Jan Mahinmi All-Stars. We named a whole group of players after him.
Right.
Told everybody to pick him up, and he's struggled since we did that.
Yeah, because he thought you were mocking him, calling it the Mahinmi.
I think he got a big head or something. I think he's resting on his. I don't think he's giving it maximum effort anymore. I think he can coast by on his name value now.
He did
the previous 3 games before we talked about him, he had double-digit points. He was averaging 9 rebounds a game. He'd gotten at least 1 steal and 1 block in every single game. Some games he had multiple of those. Since we talked about him, he hasn't scored in double digits. He hasn't gotten double-digit rebounds either, and he only has 1 block in 3 games. So it makes me a little nervous. I think it's probably just a bad stretch for him more than anything else. I think I'd be happy to pick him up for this week for those 4 games. I think you probably get 35 points and 30 rebounds or something like that with 3 or 4 steals and 3 or 4 blocks, which is a pretty good outcome.
Yeah, if you told me they were coming and only playing 3 games this week, maybe I'd be a little bit more concerned.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, if he's getting 4 games, I'm all aboard that train for this week. Like you said, those last 3 games, those are a little puzzling. I think today was foul trouble a little bit. Only got 18 minutes today against Portland. So, also some of it's matchup as well. So I'm not overly concerned. 4 games, lock and load. He's going to return to all-star form this week.
Yeah, let's hope so. Go make us proud, Jan. All right, number 1 guy on your list, Tyler. I'm excited to hear it. Who is it?
All right, the number 1 guy, also playing 4 games. He's ranked 59th, owned in only 21% of ESPN leagues. It's Matt Barnes. Now, Matt Barnes has been riding the roller coaster a little bit. He's been up and down, but he's averaging 33.4 minutes a game in the last 5 games. And, he's got some good steal numbers. He's blocking some shots. You don't know what points you're going to get, but you're going to get some rebounds. You're going to get some threes.
Yeah, what do you think about that one, Dan?
I don't know. I feel like we've talked about Matt Barnes on almost every show we've done. I mean, it's yeah. I mean that's if he's
nice to have somebody else come on here and talk about him.
No. If Matt Barnes has been getting 32 to 33 minutes a night, he's going to be fantasy relevant. He He's a little bit of a streaky shooter, but he does a lot of things on the court. He fills up the stat sheet, so he definitely should be owned, and he definitely should be in your lineups this week. And if he's on a waiver wire, you snatch him up.
So I realized this over the weekend when I was watching the Grizzlies play, and maybe you guys realize this, and I'm just slow, but here are some of the prominent figures on the Grizzlies team after the trade deadline with Gasol out. We got Matt Barnes, who has had plenty of altercations and made plenty of bad decisions in his career. We got Lance Stevenson, same thing. Zach Randolph, same thing. Chris Anderson, same thing. PJ Hairston, same thing. Am I missing somebody? I think there's 5 guys that have made some questionable on and off the court decisions. That's got to be making Coach Yeager pull his hair out. Maybe they're trying. I don't know if they're trying to get him to quit or what's going on there, but that's got to be a hard locker room to keep intact.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, the funny thing is, like, as you mentioned, just about they basically have a bunch of thugs on their team. I was just thinking in terms of more of basketball talent, and like how stripped of talent they've been as well. Losing Gasol and.
Well, so I was surprised by this. I actually I asked because Kevin Pelton, ESPN's
senior writer,
ESPN insider, he basically does his wins projections off a player's roster or off of a team's roster, so he can look at the value they add and total it up and say this team projects to get this many wins. So I asked him like how many wins this Grizzlies squad would have if they started with this squad and ended the season. Do you guys want to take a guess at what his answer was? It was surprising to me.
Wait, how many wins? Like how many games?
So if the Grizzlies had 82 games from this point,
starting,
like all. No Jeff Green, none of the rest of them. Just this exact squad for the rest of this for a full 82 game season. How many games do you think they would win?
They would be abysmal, and they would win 25 games.
Yeah, I was guessing 30. He's Tyler. What was your guess? Maybe you saw the tweet. I don't know.
38.
Yeah, Tyler saw the tweet.
Come on, no, I knew that.
Pelton said they projected to be 38 win team, which sort of surprised me.
Yeah, and I project to be dating a supermodel tomorrow. Like that's ridiculous. I mean, those bums couldn't win 38 games in like 2 seasons with that lineup. Plus, a lot of those guys are senior citizens. They couldn't even make it through 82 games. I mean, I think
they're trying to get Yeager to quit. I don't think they want to pay the last. I think they want to fire him, and they want to like.
He's an interesting guy. Like, no one ever really talks about him in terms of coaching abilities, right? I mean, is he like? No one really talks about Memphis kind of period. They're kind of a forgotten.
I think he's a fair to average coach. I know Memphis or Minnesota sort of is interested in him if he becomes available.
I heard rumors the last couple of days there's like strong. They're leaning strongly to keeping Sam frickin' Mitchell.
Yeah, that's not good.
Which probably is like the most depressing news I've heard in months.
Here's the crazy thing about Yeager, though. Yeager supposedly wants to run like up tempo and like kind of play more like Golden State, but he doesn't have the roster to do it, and so he he keeps playing the way they have to play. Obviously, like now they're starting to run a little bit more now that Gasol's injured and stuff. But I mean, like I don't even know if you can say how good of a coach he is, just because he's got to fit that team.
I can't. I'm having trouble just talking about a guy named Yeager because I just keep thinking of Jaeger bombs. But that's me. I know you two are too. Come on, everyone is.
No, I think if he keeps winning with this team, I think they're gonna stop flying him with a private jet. They're gonna make him ride like a bus to the next, like whatever they can do to get him to quit. I think that they're trying here. I was also trying to think like who else should be on this version of the Grizzlies if they've got Lance Stevenson, Matt Barnes, Zach Randolph, PJ Hairston, and Chris Anderson. Like, which other players should join in?
By the way, what did PJ Hairston do?
Oh my Lord, Dan, you're out of it.
I must. How did I miss that?
He got dismissed from UNC, which is why he ended up in the D League before he was drafted.
Yeah, I mean, he's so bad at basketball. Maybe I just haven't paid attention.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a backstory there, but.
I mean, they definitely should have Meta World Peace as well.
Yes. That would be an excellent one.
They also should bring back Steven Jackson somehow.
What about I don't think those two are like. I think they might not be allowed to be in the same city anymore.
The funny part is I was listening to a podcast that was saying that like anytime like the Lakers fly, to like Toronto or out of the country, like Ron Artest has to go to, or Metta World Peace has to go to a separate line because he's a criminal. Like I think I don't know if it's a felony, but for the malice in the palace, he was got charged with something, so he has to go in like a special line.
I was trying to decide whether Dwight Howard belonged on this team or not.
No.
He's not exactly the best decision maker, but he hasn't necessarily gotten in trouble either.
Dwight, he's never gotten in like trouble off the court.
No, he's not necessarily
besides having
trouble.
14 kids with 11 different women.
That's true.
His teammates don't like him, and he's a coach killer. But he doesn't like assault people.
I feel like he'd be the worst on that team because he'd just like complain the whole time and like
people. I think he'd get picked on.
That's what I mean. And then he'd just cry.
All right, let's move on. So we've talked a lot about players to add so far that can help you make a playoff push. Who are some players?
Or a playoff purse. That could be
or
nice.
A playoff purse. I guess you could win a playoff purse, right?
That would be a cool, if it's like an all-female league.
Oh, I was thinking purses in like, because sometimes the winnings is called a purse.
Oh, that's true. Old-fashioned.
You might play in a league where the actual prize is a purse.
Yeah.
Sure. Whatever you do off the clock, Dan, is your business.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I don't have a suitcase or like a briefcase. I use like those man purses. What are those called again? What's a man purse called?
I think that's what it's called, and I have to say I'm not surprised.
I think there's a legitimate name. I just can't think of it right now. You know what? Also is the new trend, which I'm probably gonna get in the next couple of weeks.
What's
like
that?
Professionals, who are really in the know and really into fashion. They now wear backpacks, really trendy backpacks. Yeah, that's the thing to do, my boy.
I thought you were going to say fanny packs.
No.
No. I wore a fanny pack at Disneyland.
Yeah, I did too, like many years ago.
My wife bought me a fanny pack, and I wore it around. So.
Oh, like recently?
Yeah.
Were you getting like laughed at by everyone?
Nobody laughed at me, but at least openly. But I'm sure behind my back they did.
Where can you still even buy a fanny pack?
She got it online somewhere.
Huh.
I had to carry around the diapers and whatnot.
You think she was doing that because you're so masculine and sexual? She didn't want any ladies looking at you?
Maybe. Like this would for sure make sure that nobody is interested.
Because any woman, like she may think you're attractive, she sees you with a fanny pack, and then it's just over.
This is not going to work.
Yeah.
All right, playoff push. Players you may want to consider dropping this week. Of course, you never want to drop a talented player, but sometimes it comes to that point because you're desperate for a roster spot. You're desperate to make the playoffs, and you need to drop some players. Tyler, who are some players that we may want to consider dropping this week if we need an extra roster spot that are owned in a high percentage of leagues currently?
All right, so this is the lowest owned guy. We'll start with him. Tristan Thompson. They only played 3 games this week. He's owned in 71% of leagues. He's ranked 199th in our weekly rankings, and in the last 4 games, he has played 23 minutes a game, and he's gotten 14 points and 1 block in those 4 games combined.
Wow. I'm not sure why people insist on owning this guy, but talk about a low ceiling. I don't want any part of Tristan Thompson. I'm totally fine to drop him. Dan, you disagree or agree?
No, totally agree.
All right, who's next on your list?
The next guy I got is owned in 79% of leagues. They played 3 games. He's ranked 161st in our weekly rankings. That's Al Jefferson. In the last 5 games, Al Jefferson is playing 22.5 minutes a game. He's getting 5.6 rebounds, 0.8 assists, 0.2 steals, half a block, and 10.2 points on 46% from the field and 42.9% from the line.
I have no problem dropping him.
Yeah, I mean, if you still own fat, sloppy, disgusting Al Jefferson, like you don't.
You went kind of fast there, Tyler. So fat, sloppy, fat.
Yeah,
what were the rest of the adjectives?
Well, you call me Tyler, but yeah,
Oh,
I think Tyler was saying it, not me. I know Tyler thinks he's fat too.
Fat, sloppy, fat.
I think I said fat, sloppy, fat, and then I don't know. I mean,
More adjectives.
I was just
You're
so
not a
angry
fan.
because I'm looking. He's still 79% owned in what is that Yahoo leagues or ESPN leagues?
ESPN.
So how is that? I don't understand how that's conceivable. He's just not putting up. He's not going to get the minutes to give you.
What I
Uh,
think happened is he got injured,
so
and so people just put him on their injured
I
list.
think I think you're giving people too much credit. You're talking about like Eric Bledsoe is still like 50% owned in ESPN
Yeah, but
leagues.
this is 80%. I think at least half leagues on the ESPN are still active.
Okay, maybe. So if that's the case, still I probably would have dropped him pretty quick, even if once he came back. I mean, like he's just not going to get enough minutes to give you the production you need, especially going into the playoffs. And so I'm fine with dropping him.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
what I mean. And in that stat line, like he's not even giving you one category that you can be like, all right, well, at least I'm getting this. There's
Right.
nothing.
No, that's a good point. All right. Anybody else you got, Tyler?
All right, the last bench and drop guy this week this is going to be a big one. He's ranked 232nd in our weekly rankings. He plays 3 games this week, although he may not play any. He's owned in 94% of leagues, and that's Derrick Rose.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, you were kind of talking about how he's been playing well like recently, right before his injury, but he's missed 3 straight games.
yeah, I mean, it was funny. Like right before, like the day that he, came up with this mysterious hamstring injury and then sat out. Like I think it was that day or the day before he proclaimed, "I'm finally back after 17 years of these various ailments, nicks and knacks, and torn Achilles, and I tore my knee 17 times. I'm now back and ready to go." And then he's out, 3 straight games with a hamstring. So, but he
Yeah, I
did
mean, he
look
had a
better.
great run, 3 games
He did.
in those 3 games that he played before his injury. He was averaging 26 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Uh, he was even up to 1 3-pointer per game. He wasn't getting any steals or blocks still, which limits his upside. But here's the thing that made me not believe it, even more than the injury that he's currently facing. He shot 57% during that time. Even during his best season, his MVP season when he played 81 games, which seems like a long time ago, he shot 44% from the field. Um, he's never been a 45 plus shooter. So to think that he can, sustain this sort of offense for any amount of time, I think it's just fool's gold. I think he goes back down to a 40% shooter where he's been at this season,
Yeah, I mean,
42%.
I think it was a little bit of fool's gold. But look, if you tell me I'm going to get 3 games of Derrick Rose without Jimmy Butler, without Mirotic, without Noah, which doesn't really matter that much, I'd still probably play Rose. But the problem now with this hamstring, we don't know if he's going to play. That probably
And
puts
not only that, like how many games, like are they going to bring him along slowly? I don't think there's any way you can play this. Like
yeah,
if this is a critical week for you,
yeah. I think you
I
got
have
to.
no problem dropping him.
Yeah, I mean, I am as well.
If
So
this is not a critical week for you, I would probably be targeting him because, like you're saying, there is an opportunity there, and we know that he's a talented guy. So maybe next week, like if this stuff all gets cleared up and by the weekend he's looking great again and getting you 25 points a game, that's certainly something you can use.
yeah,
So
if you
this
have
is
like
really
a
a team dependent issue.
yeah, if you have like a bye this week or something, he's a guy. If he gets dropped, you could snatch up. Because
Right.
I don't think Jimmy Butler's still coming back for a few weeks. So like Derrick Rose, to me, even though you read off those numbers and that is a little bit of fool's gold, as long as Butler's out, Rose is a guy that I'd probably play and start. So
All right, I think that's all the scheduling notes we have tonight. Is that right, Tyler? Or you got anything else for us?
Nope, that's it as far as the schedule goes. Good luck in Week 18 for everyone.
Yes, good luck. Hopefully everybody makes the playoffs. All right, I'm going to quickly go over a couple of news items here, guys, and you can chime in and tell us if you think this has any implications or not. Um, Chris Humphries was cut by the Phoenix Suns after starting a few games for them and is headed to the Atlanta Hawks. Dan, Tyler, you guys have any opinion on this?
my feelings on Chris Humphries are he's not very good at basketball. So no, I don't have much. I'm just pissed that Earl Watson, like Chris Humphries gets traded to Phoenix, and then Earl Watson starts Chris Humphries for 2 games in a row, and then they waive him. So like, what the hell was the science behind that? It
He
makes no
started the 3 games previously to being waived.
yes, like that makes no sense. Like what like Phoenix just makes me so furious. I don't understand what they're doing. So Look, I mean, like going to Atlanta, they already have a bunch of bigs. So if
You have
even
to wonder if Earl Watson is being paid by the loss at
lose,
this point.
yeah, I mean, who the hell knows? But I mean, Chris Humphrey's going to Atlanta. Even if he gets the backup bigs minutes, unless an injury occurs, he's not a guy on my radar.
Tyler, do you disagree?
I think he's going to get like 20 minutes a game. I mean, I think in a 14-team league or deeper, I'm kind of interested in him. He's going to give you some good rebounding numbers. He might block a shot here and there. He's going to give you a few points. Like, he could be useful. I mean, who's he got to compete with? He's got to beat out Mike Scott and Mike Muscala for minutes. I mean, I think he's probably doing that.
Yeah, that's true. He's probably a better version of Mike Scott, which is not saying a whole lot. All right, let's move on. Joe Johnson. So on Sunday night, he started versus the Knicks, which was sort of surprising, at least to me. I thought he'd be coming off the bench. He was in the starting lineup. He played 30 minutes, had 12 points, three rebounds, 3 assists, 1 3-pointer, took 10 attempts from the field, shot 50%. Now that we've seen him play a game in Miami, what's your thoughts on Joe Johnson the rest of the season, Dan?
I mean, I think that he's going to give you the same production that he gave you on Brooklyn. So I think he's going to give you 12 to 14 points a night. He's going to give you maybe a 1.5 3-pointers a night, 3 assists and 3.5 rebounds. Yeah. So I think he's going to. If that was good enough for you to own when he's on Brooklyn, that'll be good enough to own for you on on Miami.
He was dropped in a lot of leagues after he was waived from Brooklyn, so he may be available. So, yeah. There's obviously not a lot of upside there, but if you can use the steady production, I would guess that it's pretty steady. So their starting lineup was Wade, Dang, Dragic, Stoudemire, Joe Johnson.
Yep.
So I'm not sure who was the power forward between Dang and Joe Johnson. I would assume it's Jang, but.
Yeah, I mean, today they had, for the most part, Joe Johnson was playing the 3 matched up against Carmelo, and Dang was the 4. Right. But, I mean, I think both those guys can play, that they can, switch off and play the 3 and the 4, both those guys. So,
Tyler, you agree on Joe Johnson?
Yeah, I mean, like Dan said, I think he's just going to be getting the same, minutes and pretty much the same production he had in Brooklyn. So, yeah, I mean, he was worth owning then, so he's worth owning now.
I mean, the funny part about Joe Johnson is when you because I remember last show we did, Mark, I thought he was going to go to the Cleveland. When you hear the stories on why he went to Miami, I didn't realize, is D. Wade, best friends with every player in the league? I guess D. Wade and Joe Johnson are really close from, the 2008 Olympics when they started really getting close. But the main thing, Joe Johnson wants another contract. Yeah. He's 34, but the main thing he was looking for, he wanted playing time, and he wanted and he demanded that he start. And that along with the fact that he's close with D. Wade and also with Amari and a couple of the Miami players, that's why he chose Miami. So that's he wasn't going to start on Cleveland, so he chose going to trying to get minutes, start, and get another contract for himself coming up in 2016-17 season over probably a title run with Cleveland, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I thought he was being generous, letting Brooklyn off the hook for some of his salary, and looks like he was just looking for more money. Marcus Thornton is probably getting released in Houston. Only in the very deepest leagues would that matter to you, but something to be aware of.
You skipped over David Lee, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not to him yet. I'm going in a different order than you have, I guess. Sorry.
All right. That's all right.
Let's talk about David Lee.
I was just excited about David Lee because someone on Twitter yesterday said now it's over. The voting is over. Dallas has the most handsome team in the league. Now with David Lee, Wes Matthews, and Chandler Parsons and Dirk, it just locks it up for them. And I can't disagree, Mark. I really can't.
Is David Lee? He doesn't seem very handsome to me.
Oh, he's handsome. He's dreamy.
Okay. Tyler, thoughts?
On him being handsome or his fantasy value?
Handsome or not?
Not handsome for me. Sorry, not coming.
Whoa, Ty, man. Our female listener is going to need to weigh in on this because he's handsome. He's a little pudgy. I think he put on a little weight, but he's still very handsome.
He hasn't played in 2 years, so you can't play him too much.
In terms of going back to basketball, he put up a double-double for I think in one of his first games in Dallas. I don't as I was saying pre-show, I was surprised he couldn't get any minutes in Boston because I think he's a much better player than Amir Johnson. Now we all know he's probably one of the worst defensive players in the league, but offensively I thought he could have helped Boston out. So if he gets minutes in that Rick Carlisle system, he could become an interesting player. The question is, how many minutes is he going to get?
Absolutely. All right. So would you pick him up anywhere like for
Not
this
yet.
week?
I
Not yet.
wouldn't. No, not yet.
All right. Let's see. Moving on to Orlando. Evan Fournier was out. I don't remember what was he out with. He had a sore wrist, which is probably partially explains why he played so few minutes in the previous game. But he only played.
League pass alert, Mark. League pass alert. Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu wins Best Director for The Revenant.
I think you might be confused at what league pass means.
I say, was that on League Pass?
Well, there's no games on tonight, so I had to do like an Oscar update.
Gotcha. So Fournier was out with a sore wrist. Mario Hezonja stepped in and played 27 minutes. He had a pretty good line. He scored 13 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and 2 3-pointers. If Fournier continues to be out, would either of you look to pick up Hezonja?
Yeah, if he's out for an extended period of time, I would.
Really?
But do we know that yet? I wasn't even listening to you
No.
because I was too busy with my Oscar update.
No, day-to-day with sore wrist is...
Yeah, so if he's day-to-day, then I wouldn't. If he's going to be out some time, though, then yeah. I mean, I think Hezonja is going to be the main guy, the main beneficiary there.
I actually probably wouldn't. I know that might be surprising because I like Hezonja so much, but Orlando, just like anybody on Orlando, scares me. It's starting to feel like you can rely on Oladipo, Gordon, and Vukovic. I still wouldn't be surprised if Skiles does something funky with any of their minutes, but I'm certainly not trusting Hezonja to play a high amount of minutes, whether Fournier plays or not, in a critical week for me. I'm probably staying away from Orlando as much as possible.
I agree. I mean, he could just go with some crazy small lineup, like put Brandon Jennings and Peyton and Oladipo out there, and I mean, he doesn't know what he's doing, I don't think.
I certainly don't know what he's doing, that's for sure. All right, anything else you guys want to talk about before we sign off for today?
No, I think we covered most of it.
Tyler, anything else you want to discuss?
All I'm going to say is go to the website, dailyfantasybasketballpodcast.com, check out the weekly rankings, check out the rest of the season rankings. Have a ball. There's lots of good information on there that can help you dominate this week and get yourself in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Good luck to everybody. If this is the week that gets you into the playoffs, good luck. If you need help, you can reach out to any of us on Twitter. You can find me at Mark F. Roberts. That's Mark with a C. MarcFroberts. Dan, where can people find you on Twitter?
You can find me at Daniel A. Green 1, green like the color.
And Tyler, where can people reach out to you?
They can find me on Twitter at Watsy4444. So that's my last name with a Y and 4 4s.
So go check it out. Go check us out on Twitter. If you need some help deciding who to play, let us know. We'll try to help you out. We know this week is a critical one. Other than that, hopefully you enjoyed the show. If you did, please don't forget to rate and review the podcast. Go to iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you listen. Hit 4 stars or 5 stars if you feel like it, and leave us a nice little note. And with that, we will sign off. Hopefully you enjoy some good basketball. Thanks a lot for listening. We will catch you again on Wednesday.